dear members of the IOC, dear members of the Sport for All Commission, dear colleagues, dear sport friends. It's a great honor and a pleasure to deliver a contribution to the 14th World Sport for All Conference here in Beijing. I'd like to start with a personal story. This summer I was on a holiday in Switzerland with my husband and 2 kids. We were in a little village called Les Auders in the district of Wallace. Maybe you know it. We always go camping, and our mobile home is the start of many great hiking trips into the mountains. So we like to be active. But the ultimate holiday feeling for me is to sit in front of our tent, being surrounded by such impressive natural beauty and letting my mind wander freely as the outdoors. Being away from the work setting always brings to mind great ideas, work-related or otherwise. And I'm certain that many of you have had similar experiences. Somehow this change of scenery allows for space in our heads. We have clear vision, we come up with smart strategies, promising plans, and inspirational initiatives. And how valuable is it to retain such holiday capital, as I'd like to call it. Next slide, please. Instead of scribbling some notes on a piece of paper, I got into the habit to write myself a postcard and include these intentions and good ideas, and then send it to myself. And when returning home, this postcard is on the doormat. And it's not only a dear memory of the wonderful vacation that we've had, it provides me again with the ideas I had on my vacation in a very tangible way. And it is a reminder of what I need to follow up on to make next innovative steps. Next slide, please. The 2010 Sport for All Congress in Jyväskylä, organized by our Finnish friends, was a great success. There were participants from over 90 countries and contributions from the scientific, the practical and the policy-related perspective. Many of you were there as well. So you will remember that the concluding declaration of Jyväskylä emphasized the need for sporting opportunities and the broader benefits of sport and physical activity. It also underlined the importance of increasing sport participation, especially among youth. And it was a promising declaration, as it included a call for action. A call for action to counter declining and inadequate levels of physical activity with a leading role for the sport movement. The declaration even outlined homework for all present. And there was this pledge of all of us to engage in physical activity and sport ourselves, and to encourage others to do so as well. So I can take it that we're all very fit here, and our families, friends and colleagues are too. But that was the easy part of the follow-up of Jyväskylä. In the Jyväskylä Declaration, NOCs committed themselves to promote sport for all projects for all ages and in cooperation with others. I would like to share with you in a nutshell what our NOC has done in that respect. Next slide, please. In the Netherlands, we have been promoting sport for all projects through a multi-year program aimed at making sport more accessible and benefiting more from health-enhancing physical activity. I don't know how many Dutch people you know, but 2 out of every 3 Dutch people is active in sports. But that still leaves 1 who's not. And it will not surprise you that that 1 is difficult to reach. So what have we done in the Netherlands? This program I just mentioned, it consists of many pilot projects offering sport in new, innovative ways. For example, we offer sport in new formats or in combination with other sports. We promote local alliances between the sport club, the school, the community center and the fitness center. We facilitate whole families doing sport at the same time. And we support the creation of multi-sport venues, offering a second home for all kinds of target groups. But all that is not enough. We learned that the roadmap for lasting success is up here. It requires a change of mindset. Sport organizations must put themselves into the shoes, the sporting shoes if you like, of the sport consumer. And they must take into account the objectives of other organizations with which they can team up. Organizations in education, healthcare and welfare, but also commercial parties. Think of the fitness sector. These are all potential partners. So what are we dealing with in the Netherlands right now? We're in the midst of reproducing these new sport concepts that have effectively pulled in people not yet active in sport. Introducing these new concepts through pilot projects, that's relatively easy, because there's quite a bit of funding and a lot of attention. Now the challenge comes when you have to multiply these concepts. And that is difficult, because as you know, all sports are local, and every setting is different, with other key figures, other local politics, other sources of funding, and other environmental factors. But we believe that if we stick to really connecting with those sporting hopefuls and with local partners, we will be able to transfer proven best practices to new local settings and increase sport participation in the Netherlands. Next slide, please. To speak about the follow-up of Jyväskylä in a broader sense, that is quite difficult. It would require all of us who were there to report in detail what we've done and to what extent these developments are related to the conference. But how valuable is it to know exactly that? Let us not lose sight of what this Sport for All conference is primarily about. It's a means to an end. The end being every individual having the possibility of practicing sport. Next, please. But an interesting question remaining is whether this conference and the follow-up potential have been used to the max. And will we ask ourselves that very same question in Lima in 2 years' time? If so, I think it makes sense to discuss what we can do more. What can we do more? This conference is instrumental in 3 ways, I think, in terms of advocacy, local impact, and exchange. So let's take a closer look at each of these 3 functionalities and see what we can do additionally or differently. Next slide, please. First, advocacy. If we want to strengthen the advocacy role of this conference, we should be more specific in the targeting. It is mainly key figures, such as heads of state, who need to be addressed and reached. What message is most convincing to them? And more importantly, which messenger is most effective? I believe that most heads of state will not ignore a call for action coming from the IOC president or the executive director of WHO, especially not if it's doormat delivered and potentially cost-saving. And the call for action coming from this conference can also be expressed at other international meetings where such key figures already convene, such as the UN General Assembly and the World Olympic Sport Convention. Next slide, please. Second is local impact. We can look at ways to strengthen the local impact of this conference. Our Chinese friends already mastered the skill of creating a legacy related to Olympic occasions, as the Beijing Olympic Games have clearly shown. But perhaps even more can be achieved, for example through projects of the host and partners from other countries, complementing what already spins off this conference at the local level. An IOC could, for example, invite a previous host to report at the first upcoming conference on how the impact of the conference has developed at the local level. Next slide, please. And then, of course, we have exchange. If we want this conference, which has such an impressive rainbow audience, to facilitate exchange and follow up in the best possible way, we need some complementary tools and actions. After lots of showtime, it is share time. And that starts with knowing who all is here and what they bring. A brief participant profile could be of help in that respect. The IOC already introduced workshops and case studies to meet the needs and wishes of individual participants. And there is this toolkit. which includes a compilation of best practices, and that all is of great added value. But let's also organize thematic lunch tables. We will not eat that much. Or sub-sessions for specific target groups. And there are many more ideas. Think of NOCs, and there's many of you here in the hall. And take into account what the core business is of NOCs. Most NOCs are busy with Olympic Games and other international multi-sport events. That consumes a lot of their time and effort. Therefore, a local NGO may be better equipped to promote sport for all projects in partnership with the NOC concerned than the NOC itself. And if that is the case, this local NGO should also participate in this conference. Then something different or additional that we can already do right now. Think of the commitment you feel to the cause of sport for all, especially here at the conference. I am convinced that you have so many fruitful ideas and good intentions how to advance sport for all further in your own country. But how lasting are these good intentions and ideas? After September 23rd, we'll all go home, and most of us will be absorbed again in daily matters that may have little to do with sport for all. So is there a way to counter that? Next slide, please. We certainly can give it a try. I invite all of you to draft, right here, right now, your sport for all action plan or action points, ready for immediate use when you are back home. That may sound like a complicated piece of work, but it's not. We'll keep it simple and straightforward. So, how will we do that? There are volunteers who will distribute this card. It has been done already. Everyone has a card like this. Now please all grab something you can write with. Pen, pencil, anything. As long as it writes. And you'll have 2 minutes. 2 minutes only. To write yourself this postcard. And I strongly encourage you to do it now and not postpone it because you may get better or more ideas in the course of this conference. And if you do, come up to us and ask for a second card. So what to put on the postcard? If you turn it around, there's the beginning of the sentence, and that should get you going. Just include all sport for all ideas and intentions that you have that come to mind right here, right now. Ideas and intentions that are so self-evident in this context, but that may be out of your sight and action radius once you get back home. Formulate your ideas and intentions as smart as possible, so that's specific, measurable, acceptable, realistic, and in time. I know that's a lot that I'm asking, so maybe just include ideas and make them action-oriented. Use a lot of verbs. And include your name and address, of course. A clock will be running up here in just a little bit so you know how much time you have and how much time you have left. And I suggest you don't discuss too much. I'm a big supporter of discussion, but it's quite time consuming and we don't have much time for this exercise. So just put everything that you have up here on the card. And after this session, you can post your own card. When you leave the hall, there are mailboxes there. You can drop it there. And you will recognize them. They're white and they have the same image in front of them. When you drop the postcard, you will receive something in return. It's a small incentive, and we hope that will be effective. So I hope it's clear. I hope everyone has a card and a pen or a pencil. And then time starts now. If I can have the next slide, please. Get going. halfway. Time is up, there it goes. Okay, the hard part is done now. For all who have completed already this small but potentially relevant task, thank you very much. Also on behalf of those who will benefit from your Sport for All plans and actions. And believe me, it will definitely bring you something, starting with the card. For those who haven't finished yet, you can still do so. We have a coffee break upcoming, so a bit more time. But my advice is not to put it off much longer, because then there's the risk you may not end up doing it at all. In any case, there will be mailboxes on site for the duration of the conference, and one of them will be placed at the service center at the entrance of this conference building. So no excuses not to post your card. So, what will happen next? The IOC will send you your card. You should receive it in a few weeks from now, when this conference and all the great ideas and intentions you had have largely faded, and you're completely swamped in preparations for London or all kinds of other very important matters. Then that card is your Sport for All related wake-up call. Of course, I realize that these postcards are not going to make a worldwide difference, but they are a functional reminder, a teaser if you like, to remain alert, active and innovative towards Sports for All in your own backyard. I believe that if we start to follow up already on site, if we fully utilize the opportunities for exchange that this conference is offering, if we plan and act smartly, then attending this conference will get us in an even better shape to put to practice the principle that sport is a human right, and that all must have the possibility to practice sport without discrimination of any kind, and in the Olympic spirit, and with all related benefits. Final slide, please. My contribution ends here. I thank you for participating in the speed planning that we did together and for your attention. Good luck, everyone.